it's been a very important Premier League weekend. Arsenal playing Liverpool, who have been a very difficult team for Arsenal to beat in recent years, but they got the job done and they are top of the league. It was also the weekend of the European Championship draw for next year, and we are in a group with France, the Netherlands, Greece and Gibraltar. It's regarded as a very tough group for obvious reasons. France and the Netherlands are powerful footballing nations. But before we talk about that, we're going to talk about the Premier League, and I'm joined by John Giles and Liam Brady to do just that. John, let me ask you first about the Arsenal game, Arsenal-Liverpool. It looks, and even Jurgen Klopp had conceded before this game, that they weren't going to be contending for the championship. After this game, it's certain they won't be contending for the championship, and they'll have to work pretty hard and much better and play much better than they played yesterday to make the top four.
Yeah, it's not Liverpool, Eamon. You know, the Liverpool that we know and have admired over the last few years.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised they're making the comment even before the match.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going, well, how do you know? I mean, if you get on the run, as other teams have done, or at least try and get on the run, I'm surprised they're making that comment in the position that they're in. I mean, there's a lot of matches to go in the season, but Arsenal did their stuff, Eamon. You know, Arsenal have a good attitude this season. They wouldn't be on top of the table if they didn't. Young players coming through, getting a bit older and a bit mature and getting well able to play in the Premiership now. So I thought Arsenal deserved to win it, Eamon.
Yeah, Liam, a very good performance, great start. Martinelli scoring in the first minute with a lot of help from Trent Alexander-Arnold. But they looked as if they believed they could win, which is something that hasn't always been the case when they played the big teams, particularly Liverpool.
Well, I think the start they got to the season, Eamon, when they won the first five,
yes,
has given them that kind of belief and confidence. The Manchester United game was a setback, but they didn't play at all badly. They played quite well, and they were a little bit naive. They were poor defensively, as we've discussed on the podcast before, for the United goals, for a couple of the United goals. But they've overcome that, and they've had two very difficult matches back to back, and they've come through with flying colours. You know, they beat Spurs well, and you'd have to say you beat Liverpool well. I thought Liverpool, after they went behind, looked a bit like the Liverpool of old. They were dangerous. The strikers were getting down the sides of Arsenal. But, you know, Arsenal fought back, maybe got a fortunate penalty. It looked a bit harsh to me.
Yes.
But yeah. I don't think you could say they didn't deserve it, because they dominated Liverpool in that, you know, last half hour of the match, and they went on to win it. Liverpool, as John says, is just don't look like themselves. You know, Salah was very poor again. Most people seem to have worked him out what he's going to try and do with the ball, but
yes,
he's not. He's just not firing, and the midfield was poor. I thought Arsenal dominated in there as well with Partey and Xhaka against Henderson and Thiago. I thought Arsenal were better than them.
Yes,
and in the end, deserved win, and they're playing great. You have to say they're playing great.
And John, the question of Liverpool's defence is worth mentioning, because I was talking to you during the game. Trent Alexander-Arnold, one of the most brilliant talents to emerge in recent years when he has the ball at his feet and he's going forward. But now he can't really defend at all. He was at fault for the two Arsenal goals that came from play, badly at fault too. And he doesn't appear to be even working on it, and he doesn't appear to be being coached. What he did yesterday for the goals, it was like a midfield player, which he was, who converted to fullback, but never really learned how to play the position and had no instinct for the position.
Well, I think that has always been the case with him. Eamon. But I was amazed, was it last week or so, where Klopp was saying, I don't understand the criticism of Alexander. He doesn't see any fault in him at all.
Yeah.
And I think what's happened now with Liverpool, when they were playing really well, obviously they were attacking more than they are now.
Yes, and pressing more.
Yeah. So he was coming into his best. I mean, going forward, he's absolutely brilliant. His distribution is brilliant. But he's a fullback. But when Liverpool were on top, which they were most of the season and most of the matches, then he was in his element. He was doing things. He was making goals and that, and he didn't have to defend. Now, it's a different Liverpool this season. They're not playing as well, and they have to defend more. And I think he's been shown up because of that, Emily. I quite agree with you that defensively, I don't think he has a clue.
Yeah.
I mean, the goals that he conceded, well, he helped to concede yesterday, was like basic stuff for a defender. So I think he's paying the price for it, or Liverpool are paying the price for it now when they're not attacking, they're not playing as well as they were in previous seasons.
Yeah, Liam, it's a dramatic kind of, they were the champions. They could have won all 4 trophies last year, Premier League, Champions League and the 2 cups in England. In the end, they just won the 2 cups, beaten in the final of the Champions League, beaten 1-0 by a very good Real Madrid team. But they dive down the table now, and the energy and the pressing is all gone. They didn't really press. And as you said, in the midfield, they look old. And the only player he had to bring on was Fabinho, who looks older than even Henderson, who I like as a player. But they look like an ageing team. They are the 3rd oldest team in the Premier League on the age metric. So it's only going one way for them at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the balloon is well and truly burst. I mean, that balloon that was fantastic for so many years, pressing, the attacking play, the 2 fullbacks. Robertson's not he's injured at the moment. They're missing him.
Yes.
Samacro, I don't think is a good replacement for him. I think he's a weakness as well. He's not a very good defender either. So you've got 2 fullbacks and Trent Alexander and him, who really are not very good defenders. And Liverpool are getting exposed this season. And Salah's not firing. Mane is gone. They haven't got the goals that they used to be able to score. I don't know what it is, Eamon. I don't know whether Klopp is kind of deflated. He certainly looks like it. Dare I say, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a parting of the ways at the end of the season here, because I don't know. They don't seem to have recovered from that defeat against Real Madrid in the Champions League final. And let's not forget that was Trent Alexander as well, who let Vinicius get round the back of him. That he didn't see him, and he didn't see Martinelli yesterday on the first goal, and his defending for the second goal was as John said, it was.
He ran past. He ran past the player with the ball.
Well, yeah, he just ran in behind and kind of made Martinelli's mind up to come inside.
Yeah,
he didn't do his fellow defender any favours at all. So I think the balloon is well and truly burst, and the manager looks deflated, and so do the players. And certainly for the league, I don't think they can get it back to make any sort of challenge. And even for the top 4, there must be a question mark. But they could come good, in the Champions League when that resumes. When that resumes again in February or March, whenever.
Right. Just on the Arsenal team now, Liam, you weren't convinced when I asked you about a month ago. You said you had reservations, and I suppose even though they are top of the league now, it's right to have reservations because there's big clubs behind them: Chelsea, Spurs, and of course Manchester City. There as well. But have you sort of revised your opinion now?
Well, I'm very happy, Eamon, I have to say. Yeah, I'm very happy watching them play. They're playing, as John and I have just mentioned, they're playing with a lot of confidence, a lot of belief. They've come up since against two teams in Tottenham and Liverpool. That's the very top of the test. and they've passed it. So the signings have made a hell of a difference. Jesus, again, even though he didn't score, Eamon was very influential in the match. And Martinelli, Saka, playing really, really well too. Defence is much better. Although, Gabriel still got a mistake in him. He made a mistake for Liverpool's first goal. I'm confident that we'll get in the top 4 this season, Eamon.
Right. John, Arsenal, and in particular Xhaka, who I think all three of us have thought was a headbanger, a loose cannon, bound to be booked in every match almost and get involved in all kinds of nonsense. He seems to be doing his job now. He seems to be more disciplined in his play. And Jesus has made a big difference, I think. And it's not just been good for Arsenal. It's been good for Jesus, because at City, I think Pep didn't really play him as a centre-forward. But he looks happy now and very committed.
I think he's a very good player, Eamon. I think at City he wasn't, as you said there, he wasn't played in the centre-forward position that he's playing with Arsenal. And he's a natural centre-forward. He's really done his stuff. And it was a terrific signing for Arsenal. Arteta obviously probably knew him. Was he there when he was at City?
Oh, he was, yeah.
Yeah, so he knew what he was getting. And he has played him centre-forward. And he's been a huge success for him. So that's a biggie for Arsenal. And they're playing as a team now. Their confidence, they've won against big teams now, and you need to do that to really get on your way. And so far, so good for them. They've really done well. I think Arteta's done a really big job for them this year.
Yeah, and you agree with Liam, I think, and I certainly do, that Gabriel, the centre-half, does have a mistake in him. He could have given a penalty away yesterday. He did handle the ball. The penalty wasn't given, but he does have a mistake in him, doesn't he, John?
He's a bit anxious to get at the centre forward or any of the players around him. I mean, he's not cool-headed anyway, that's for sure. No. But he's one of those straightforward. If the ball is there, he goes to win it, and that can be most times okay. But if the mistake is there, it comes out.
Yep.
At some stage, unfortunately.
Now, Liam, Manchester City, Haaland scored. He only scored one. I think he's gone. He hit the post as well. It was a comfortable win against Southampton. And I have to say that I thought Gavin Bazunu, Ireland's goalkeeper, was brilliant. And it would have been a lot more only for him. But they do look really impossible to stop in the league. They're all playing well, really well. Foden, De Bruyne, Cancelo was the man of the match and scored their first goal. They look way ahead of anyone else. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely, Eamon. But, they haven't played. Have they played
the big clubs?
Well, I'm not talking about the big clubs. They played Man United, who's a big club, and Man United are on a bit of a run as well. We know they won again last night. But they destroyed United. So, you would have to hold your hands up and say, well, I don't really know who can stop them, What we've seen with City in the past, and it can show a little bit of complacency. They've lost some funny games down through the seasons. And also when they come up against the better sides in the Champions League, they've had their problems as well. That's the only thing I can hang on to, Eamon. Otherwise you'd have to hold your hands up and say, well, no, they're impossible to stop. Foden has been brilliant this year, hasn't he?
Yes.
They've got Haaland in the mix there as well. 20 goals already this season is quite incredible in the whole competition.
Yeah, John, City look obvious favourites, and it could have been a lot more. Gavin Bazunu really played outstandingly well for Southampton, but they look like a machine. They play Liverpool at home next Sunday. I would obviously look forward to the game, but any Liverpool fan who's thinking about the game would have fears as well.
Yeah, well, they're going well, Eamon, but it's one game at a time. You never know. Liverpool could get back to their best on the day, but they've been certainly the team informed this season. And, with the new goal scorer, Eamon, is fantastic. It's funny, last year they scored more goals in Liverpool without a goal scorer, Eamon. So this fella now is a machine. And Foden is maturing as a player. I think Bernardo Silva is vital to them.
Yes.
I think he's the real creative player in the middle of the field, and sometimes he hasn't played him, and I think they miss him badly. De Bruyne is doing what he's doing, making goals now, and I don't think he has the responsibility of playing as a real midfield player now, De Bruyne, which has helped him. But Bernardo Silva is crucial in the middle of the field for them. But the team at the moment, but it can be as we know, it can be a long, hard season, and things change. You never know. But at the moment, they look favourites.
Okay, John, Tottenham. I watched the game at Brighton. They won 1-0. They scored they scored after 20 minutes. There wasn't much happening after that, and it was a kind of typical Tottenham Conte performance. Got the goal, shut up shop, give very little away. Matt Doherty started the game because they had Romero, I think, injured, but they don't really look as you'd expect a title contending team to look, or even the top four. They've looked very, very sluggish, and they look sluggish again, even though they got the 3 points on Saturday, John.
Yeah, I think they had an upset, Eamon. I think their fitness guru died very suddenly.
He did, of leukemia, 61-year-old. Yes, that's right.
And it seemed to affect them very, very badly on the day. I mean, Conte and that, they seem to be very, very close. But I don't think Spurs are the contenders of certainly like Manchester City, one or two. I think he's done a really, really great job with what he has.
Yes, yeah.
We know he has Son and he has Harry, and he's a couple of forward players who can score goals, as we know. But if you look through the team, and midfield particularly, you can't see a creative force there. No. You can see workers, and they're all working hard, and he has them all working hard. And I think he gets results purely from the way he gets the players to really put everything into the game. I mean, he doesn't have the talent that, say, Liverpool have, certainly Manchester City have, even Arsenal. He doesn't have that talent in his team.
Yes.
And they're working hard. I think they're fighting, above their weight, to be quite honest. But it's work, Eamon.
Yeah. Liam, the fitness coach was Italian Gian Piero Vertroni. He died on Thursday. He was 61. He'd been the fitness coach with Conte for a long time. He died of leukemia. And I suppose that can affect lads and their morale for obvious reasons. But as a team, Liam, you got a close-up view of them when they played Arsenal. They looked sluggish. They just don't have enough quality. If you take Son and Kane out of it, not a lot of quality in their team to be in any way title contenders, and top four would be a good result.
Yeah, I think so, Eamon. Who knows what's been going on behind the scenes there. Perhaps this illness that this man, he had leukemia, he didn't die suddenly. So this has probably been hanging over the dressing room for quite a while. And perhaps that's some reason they haven't been firing on all cylinders. Tottenham, they've been getting results, as John says, because they're functional and they're well organised. Conte always has his team well organised. So, and with Harry Kane and Song, and at the moment Richarlison, the three forwards, they're always capable of hitting teams on the break. I thought they played well in the first half an hour against Brighton, and they should have maybe been 2 or 3 up.
Yeah.
But they fell back. Maybe, this thing's been on their minds. They fell back, and Brighton got on top of the game, but they never really got in behind Spurs. Spurs, as Conte would have them, were very well organised. So maybe there's more to come from Spurs, Eamon, than we're seeing at the moment. I wouldn't write them off totally as title contenders. They could hit form. They could start scoring goals because of the forward line they've got. I think they're going to be in the top 4 all season. But whether they can keep up the pace with Man City is very hard to see. Whether any team can do it is very hard to see.
Yeah, John, just to move on to Chelsea with their new coach now, the man who was at Brighton, who we always admired and admired his teams. A comfortable win over Wolves in the end, 3-0. They're in 4th position. but there's chopping and changing going on, and it's not clear to me what his final team is going to be.
Well, he's got a lot of talent, Damon, as we know.
But, and Kante, one has to say, is injured, a hamstring injury, which is no help at all, is it, John, given his quality?
No, I think with Potter, the new manager, Damon, could be the ideal man to go in at this particular time.
Yeah.
Tuchel was a bit erratic. I mean, very good manager, as we know, but a bit erratic, I'd say, with the players. I think this fella's calmer and might get more out of the players that's there. I mean, he's had a few injuries, but there's a lot of talent there, as we know, Eamon, at Chelsea.
Yeah.
And it's a question of just getting it, harness it, and I think they'd be a really dangerous team. Yeah, they might be back too far now to make it up. You never know. But I think Potter has been excellent in his previous club, and I think he's a sensible individual, quite calm. I think he might get the best out of these guys because there's a lot of talent there, Eamon,
Liam, Graham Potter did a fantastic job at Brighton, which we all acknowledged, and did it really with no big budget signings or anything like that. It's a different thing going to a big club with a lot of money than managing a club like Brighton with very little, isn't it? The demands and pressures are different. And this owner at Chelsea, this new American owner, doesn't look as if he's the easiest guy to work for either.
No, Ted Boehly, well, he didn't waste much time on getting rid of Tuchel, did he? But, I think he wanted to pick his own man, Boehly. And I think Tuchel helped him do that by his antics on the sideline, particularly against Spurs and Conte when he lost the head completely. But I think Potter rested a lot of players yesterday, and I think the word rotate came into his mind. They had a very, very good win in midweek against Milan.
That's right.
To get them back on track in the Champions League, and so he changed the team around, and they performed really well against Wolves. It could have been 7 the amount of chances they created.
Yeah.
I watched the highlights of that, and they could have scored about 7 goals. Pulisic come back in, Havertz. Conor Gallagher, the young lad in midfield, he got a run out. He made one of the goals. So I think as John said, he's got a very, very talented squad of players there. Okay, he's lost Rudiger at the back, and that's a big loss. So we'll have to see against the better teams how the defence copes. But I think Potter is doing a very, very good job, and I thought the team spirit that they showed against Milan and Wolves with totally different personnel kind of proved that they're buying into what Potter's brought to the club.
Yeah, and I have to say, just to back up what you said about rotating, Aubameyang, Sterling and Chilwell were all on the bench, left on the bench, and were not used as subs.
That's the point we're making, Amy. He's got a very talented bunch of players, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So.
Now, Manchester United, Everton. John, Everton have a real job on their hands to stay in the division, even though they're not down near the bottom. When you look at the table, they're not too far out of trouble. And United, I thought, were good on the night. They got a great start. This young Brazilian lad, Anthony, scored. He scored 3 goals in his first 3 games for Manchester United, which hasn't been done in the Premier League era. What did you make of United, John? And Ronaldo back to score his 700th goal.
Yeah. Well, it's incredible. I mean, he can still do it. But from as far as, I'll talk about Everton first. I thought they were very poor, Eamon. It was a really poor performance.
I feel sorry for Frank Lampard,
When they got a good start, they went in front.
Yep.
They scored after 5 minutes, and you think, well, they're going to do something. But they got worse and worse and worse as the first half went on. And obviously, Man U got better and better. They well deserved to win, Manchester United, and I thought a really worrying performance for Frank Lampard.
Right. Liam, I don't know if you saw the match.
I saw the goals, I saw the highlights,
Yeah.
You have to give Casemiro did well for
He did very well. He did very well.
He took the ball off of Iwobi. That's what he does so well. He breaks things up. But it was also a very good pass in behind Seamus Coleman, and he was away, Ronaldo. I thought Pickford was poor to let him beat him at his near post, but it was a good strike. And, what a player, 700 goals. It's quite incredible,
Yeah.
That we've had the pleasure of watching him all this time. But United, what I saw, the highlights, deserved to win. They were the team that made the most chances. They bounced back after that setback. They had a poor performance in Cyprus, but they ended up winning the match. Now they've gone to Everton and won. That's been a bit of a bogey ground for them in recent years.
Yeah.
So they'd be pleased about that. And they're lying fifth in the table. So after the start they made, I think progress has been made under this new manager.
Okay, Liam, just let me stay with you to talk for a moment, and John, of course, about the European Championship draw, which was made yesterday. And we're in the same group as France, the Netherlands, Greece and Gibraltar. Most people here are saying it's a horror draw, the worst draw we could have got. Stephen Kenny's fighting for his life already, according to a few commentators in the newspapers. I give you my own view briefly. I think it could have been worse if we'd have got England, for example. I wouldn't have liked that. France have been losing games for fun. I wouldn't be too afraid of the Netherlands, and Greece and Gibraltar wouldn't frighten me either. But more importantly, Liam, what do you think?
I think you better get in that dressing room and tell the players. France are the world champions. They've got a guy called Mbappe. I think he's up front for them. No, Eamon, it's a horror draw.
Right.
It's one of the worst. It's one of the worst you could have got. However, under Kenny, we haven't done too bad against the top teams,
No. Yeah.
So they've got it, they've got nothing to lose. To see us finish in the top two is very, very difficult to see. But what we want to see, Eamon, is more improvement going on.
Yes.
And giving these teams a game and maybe nicking something off them and maybe getting a big scalp. Yeah. That's what we want to see in this. And it's great for the Irish fans to have these teams, the French team coming to Dublin and also the Dutch who are on the up again. Our friend Van Gaal is doing a very good job with them. So it's an attractive group, put it that way, Eamon, but very, very difficult. Very, very difficult for Stephen Kenny to get in the top two.
Yeah, John, I think we're improving still, but as Liam has pointed out, all our players virtually are in championship teams, and these are big, big footballing nations. France, Holland, of course, being the immediate problem before we come to Greece, and we should be okay against Gibraltar. What do you make of the draw, John?
I think it's hard, Eamon. I think we're bound to get two hard teams in it.
Yeah. Well, we were seeded at third seed, so we were, as you say, we were bound to. And I think England would have been worse, funny enough. France have been getting some shocking results recently, and they're fighting with each other, and the Dutch tend to fight with each other as well.
We'll keep our fingers crossed, Eamon, that they keep fighting with each other. that'll do us nicely. No, it's on paper, Eamon, as we know. But like if you're looking at France and Holland and that, I mean, they are big beasts,
They are, yeah.
But knows, we like Stephen is getting his team together. I think we'll have a better chance of doing well than we have in the past.
Yeah.
And in football, as we say, we never know, Eamon. But it's fingers crossed, that's for sure.
Okay, John and Liam, thank you both very much for joining us. Two great players, of course, that we could do with against these beasts we're going to meet in the European Championship qualifiers.